Welcome to Never Shut Up. I'm your host, Marcellus Wiley, alongside my co-host, John Brinkus, in the building, 6-time Emmy Award winner, founder of Brinks TV, and my road dog. And we are pumped up because we got a great show in store for you. So pleasantries aside, I know you're doing well, John. You look great. So let's get right into this story about the NFL. And supposedly, Arian Foster, former running back of Houston Texans, the great running back himself, says that the NFL is rigged. Now, there's a disclaimer here. There's some fine print here. He said it sarcastically, supposedly. But we know that with every joke there is, there's an ounce of truth. So when you hear that the NFL is rigged, what's your reaction, John?
Herbert, go to my phone, please. Let me just go right off the top. Let's just search up this. From the archives, how former ref Tim Donaghy conspired to fix NBA games. That's real. Tim Donaghy fallout. How did his bets do? Disgraced former NBA ref blowing his whistle on the league again. Herbert, go off my phone. This is all that I want to say. When somebody says the NFL is fixed, they make this wide blanket statement. That's ridiculous, because that would require everyone from top to bottom to be kind of in on it, like the WWE, which openly says, look, we're entertainment. Everybody from the top to the bottom's in on it, including the audience. So sure, the WWE is fixed. They openly say it's scripted, but it's pure entertainment, so nobody cares. When Arian Foster says something like, hey, the NFL is fixed, it's irresponsible to even joke about that because that's making a sweeping statement. However, is it possible that some games had a little bit of fixaroo to them? A flag thrown at a convenient time, a player sandbagging it? Listen, all I can tell you is anything is possible. And when it comes to not millions, but billions of dollars changing hands like this, fixing a game here or there, making a call here or there, it's possible, but fixing a league is not.
Yeah, you're going to have to go Kevin Garnett on me. Anything is possible for this to even make sense, to even land anywhere. Man, stop. No way is the NFL scripted. Is it rigged? I think there is human error and human bias that can give you the impression that this is scripted or rigged. I'll give you an example. Who wasn't sitting there watching that Patriots-Raiders game like 20 years ago? And when we saw the tuck rule, and it took, 98 minutes for the officials to get the decision which call to make? And I'm sitting there in real live time like, it's not that hard. And it almost looked like they revised the actual rule book. They made an addendum that was in favor of this new story of Tom Brady in his second year, but first-year starter, taking over for the Drew Bledsoe $100 million quarterback. And it looked like that was storybook. That was fairy tale. Maybe that was scripted. But if you peel it back, how do you even get to that moment to say it's scripted? That's why I know he was saying it sarcastically, but like you said, I think it's kind of reckless. It's irresponsible to even go there because I played a decade in the NFL, and not one damn time did anybody ever tell me to do something to undermine the game, undermine our success, or follow some damn master plan.
Here's the thing, though, that I will say about sports in general and officiating that has always bothered me, just as a fan. And as a player, I imagine it bothers you. What happens in the NBA? There's 10 seconds left. It's a 1-point game. Ball gets thrown in. You're underneath the basket. You go up. What never happens? No one ever calls a foul. Why? Because it's kind of understood the refs are going to swallow their whistle. And you always hear commentators saying, well, if it's the end of the game, they're not going to call it. Where the refs aren't going to make that call, which has always bothered me because it's either a foul or it's not. It doesn't matter on the time of the game. Look, if there's 5 seconds left, make the call. And I'll give you a really good example in the NFL. If y'all remember back in the Super Bowl down in the, I think it was, I'm not sure it was the last one played at the Superdome in New Orleans, but it was San Francisco against the Ravens. And Colin Kaepernick throws that little jump ball to Crabtree. He's held down. Like there's no possible way that was not pass interference. The ref swallowed his whistle, didn't throw a flag, and Ray Lewis, our good friend, walks off with the second Super Bowl. But that was absolutely a penalty. Anybody watching it would say it, but everyone says, well, it was the last play of the game. The ref's just not going to make that call. Why not?
Yeah, good point. Good point. I think it's always going to fall into those two buckets. Human error, which was that play you just described. He messed up. And now we're like, wait a minute. Why did he mess up? He's supposed to be a computer. He's supposed to be a machine. He's a zebra. He's not a human. He's an animal. Like, what are you talking about here? No, that was a mistake that is now going to obviously live in a different way. And we're going to look at it a different way because we're like, conspiracy or something else is going on other than what we see with our naked eye. Or sometimes there is a bias. Sometimes in the points of emphasis meeting that every official has to go to before the game, they always go to this little side locker room that no one's using in the stadium, and they huddle up and they get on their whiteboard and they write holding and they write illegal procedure and they write, unnecessary roughness. Today we're calling those, buddy, and I want to see you guys throw the yellow towels everywhere you can, cloth everywhere, right? But that's it. It's nothing else to it, you guys. Like, I know that it feels weird. Like, this makes no sense, but you can't make sense out of nonsense. And sometimes the refs go out there and they do some things that are nonsensical. Stop looking deeper all the time. Sometimes it is as plain as it looks. Well, coming up on Never Shut Up on Brinks TV and Reach TV, we're going to talk about Troy Aikman. And he's feeling proud that he led the anti-Pro Bowl revolution. We're going to see if he should be proud about leading that revolution. All of that and more coming up on Never Shut Up, Brinks TV, Reach TV. Wow. Welcome back to Never Shut Up. Marcellus, Wiley here. John Brinkus over there. And Troy Aikman is in the news because Troy Aikman, what a hilarious story right here. But it actually has some depth to it, some complexities. Troy Aikman in 1993, who knew this, walked out of the Pro Bowl game in the third quarter because he had a flight to catch. Like, I don't know what TWA airline he was on, but he couldn't wait until after the game. He said, nope, third quarter, I had to dip. He gets reprimanded, obviously. He has to go to the commissioner's office, Paul Tagliabue at the time. Mad as hell at Troy Aikman. What were you thinking? Why would you leave the Pro Bowl game? He's like I've told you guys before, no player wants to play in the Pro Bowl. No player signs up to play football more than they have to. And now, 30 years later, what he suggested to Tagliabue was a network of stars skills challenge is now come to fruition. So Troy Aikman is now proud of the moment he started 30 years ago. But when you hear all this story in totality, what's your reaction, John?
First of all, I do have to say that Troy Aikman, of all the former players who are in broadcasts, is my favorite voice to listen to. Tony Romo is definitely look at me. Chris Collinsworth has become a cliche machine. Troy Aikman just keeps it real. He's self-deprecating. He doesn't say, look at how smart I am when I'm calling this. He keeps it real, and he's amazing. Now, with that being said, Troy, yes, 30 years ago, you said something that now is coming true, but there weren't any players who were happy with the Pro Bowl. nobody was like, you know what? This was a really good idea. Everyone just kind of put a smile on their face. You're putting lipstick on a pig because the game always stunk, that fans didn't like it. You couldn't, like, it was a terrible idea from the get-go. You can't have a full contact game of football where people are kind of half-assing it. It's just no good. It doesn't make any sense. So Troy could take credit for a lot of things. I don't think he can take credit for this. With that being said, I love Troy Aikman.
Oh, you got to give him more credit than that. That didn't sound like the love that I know you have for him. That sounded like the love that was mixed in with a little bit of, calm down, Troy. You're making this about yourself. The same thing you don't like about Collinsworth and other ones out there. We talk about Romo. Here's what I love about it, because you've been in a circle before, right? And in any circle, they say if you want to move many, whisper to one. And all you have to do to start a movement is just someone has to get out of the chorus. We all over here complaining, but when no one's done anything and no one's really said anything, who's going to be the one that actually not only whispers to one, but yells to one? And Troy Aikman yelled to the world, man, forget this damn Pro Bowl. I'm done with it, right? And once he did that, everyone else felt more comfortable expressing their issues with the Pro Bowl. Applause to Troy Aikman. I'm a former Pro Bowler, been in the game before, and when you talk about playing in that game, the first thing is no football player ever, outside of Dick Butkus and Ray Lewis probably, has unconditionally loved the game of football in its violent primal state. We don't. We know it hurts, and we are trying to inflict pain, but if you ask us, would we rather be poolside or on the 50-yard line, everybody's picking the diving board, right? So now we're out there. We're trying to figure out what is 50% to you, because my 50% looks different to me. I'm going against Chris Samuels. I'm going against Orlando Pace, whoever it may be. Hey, dog, 50%. And you're just trying to go through this negotiation of playing flag football without the flags. And it was just the worst experience. I'm glad the NFL finally caught notice and said, look, we can't have these guys going out there playing two-hand touch. It's really damaging our product because it's supposed to be football. So they moved on from it. But I don't think that they move on from it without the first domino falling. That first domino is your favorite broadcaster. It is Troy Aikman.
You think he was the first, though? I mean, like Sonny Jurgensen as an example. Sonny Jurgensen used to do color for the Redskins back in the day, and he would complain about the Pro Bowl all the time. He had the ear of the commissioner. He had the ear of the coaches. He was just like, he would openly say, this is really dumb, period. Okay. He was yelling it. He had the ear of everybody. But so listen, I don't think it's a point. There's no point to the argument of Troy Aikman the first or not. He certainly was a voice that had a lot of impact. I just don't know if I can say he's the guy that caused this wave to happen.
Okay, I'm going to give it to you in example form. I can say, John, I didn't like what you just said right now. You know what? I could be Sonny Jurgensen in this moment. You know what, John? Everything you're saying is falling flat on my ears. Or I could do what Troy Aikman did. I ain't got nothing to say. Peace.
Where'd he go?
What up?
Whoa, wait.
What up? I am Troy Aikman, and I got a flight to catch. And guess what? This was fun, not getting touched in a fake-ass football game, but now I got to go home. Holla at that and see if that changes your ratings. Now, you do that, that's a whole different animal, right? And then everybody else sitting there like, the audacity of Troy Aikman is something I need to borrow. And that's when you start the snowball to start growing.
This is what I need to say. We need a scoreboard. Wiley 1, Brinkus 0. Like, geez. You proved your point.
Oh, man. I wish he would have did it when I was there, because I would have certainly jumped on that flight. I would have been his buddy pass. Not an issue at all. We're coming up on Never Shut Up. We're not done. It's time to go inside the mind of dirty players. Yes, Dillon Brooks, we're talking about you and that armbar to the manhood region. We'll get into that and more on Brinks TV and Reach TV. Welcome back to Never Shut Up. John Brinkus, Marcellus, Wiley, and we're about to go into the psyche of a dirty player. I am fascinated with this topic right here, as it was sparked once again, headline news, because Dillon Brooks in the game going against Donovan Mitchell found himself on the ground. Instead of like getting up like normal people and just getting to the next play, he decides to do the dirty thing and play it off like, oh my God, this is the only way to get up, by extending my arm and hitting you where the kids come from. And I'm like, what is going on? But John Brinkus, dirty players, what makes them go? What makes them tick? And why are they always so damn dirty?
Here's what I gotta say is, Herbert, go to my phone really quick, because I'm gonna tell you this. The Detroit Pistons, they go gangster, right? And if we're going to talk about dirty players at all, we got to tell you can't, bad boys, bad Detroit Pistons, everybody type that in, because you want to talk about dirty, they were filthy, intentionally. When we're talking about this play, go off my phone, Herbert. When we're talking about this play, about like, was this a dirty play or whatever, dude, this is nothing. This right here is kind of a dumb play. Like, it's not dirty, it's just kind of dumb. Because a dirty player, Dennis Rodman was a dirty player. Dirty, I think, by definition, equals unpredictable. You just never knew what was going to happen. Mike Tyson, dirty player. He was a dirty bot. You didn't know what he was going to do. Might bite your ear off. Might throw a low blow. Might look at you and say, you ain't going to get up when I knock you down. That's a dirty player, and it's a tactic. It's a strategy. This is just dumb.
Well, you said Mike Tyson, bite your ear off. Dillon Brooks didn't do that. All right, thankfully, you can still hear me if you're Donovan Mitchell. But you said low blow. This was a low blow. And you said that Mike Tyson's a dirty player, dirty boxer for the low blow. Hey, that's exactly what Dillon Brooks did. Why isn't he a dirty player?
Because is Dillon Brooks known for throwing low blows? Are people just standing back going, I'm petrified of Dillon Brooks like I am Dennis Rodman?
Yeah. This the same dude was about to fight Shannon Sharp, or what, a week or two ago? Like,
I know, but listen, maybe this is, here's the problem. Yes, what? You, between the two of us, I am the elder statesman. So maybe this is just the crusty side of me coming out, because I'm like, nobody's dirtier than the Detroit Bad Boys. And everything in the modern day just doesn't compare. So maybe that's my bias.
Right. I get that. But you know what? You're the old man saying get off your lawn. But now it's time to look. I'm about to show you that this dude's dirty, man. And I don't think in this example explicitly you would just label him a dirty player. But he's just a habitual line stepper. He always does this in some other form or fashion. I give you examples. So it's the same guy that, you know, when you're getting up, he got his foot in the way or act like, oh, I was going to take that step. But that's the step to trip you. Since you steal something, doesn't make you a thief. But if you keep stealing, you're a damn thief, right? He keeps doing stuff like this. It's not one-offs. It's connected to a whole list of other issues he's done and other things he's done. And I wasn't a dirty player, but I did some dirty things before, and never was I ever thought of or flirted with the label of being a dirty player. But if I were at the bottom of a pile, no lie, I've done this, and I'm tackling the running back, and I'm getting up off the ground, I am doing what I used to call the gut grab. I put my hand on his stomach like, oh, I need you to help me get up. And then meanwhile, I'm using my talons and I'm just digging into his damn stomach and I'm twisting and turning. And he's like, Wiley. And I'm like, who? And I'm getting up off of that. And as I'm getting up off of that, my cleat somehow accidentally just scuffs him, just scrapes his shin, just steps on his fingers. I didn't know those were fingers. Actually, I did. And the point is, I did that on occasion. And that didn't even rise to the reputation level of one Dillon Brooks. So if I'm getting away with that, and that's dirty, let's be real, but I'm not a dirty player, this dude's already been accused of being a dirty player. And then he gets up. John, imagine you and I doing the show side by side in the same room. Mm-hmm. And then on the way, I'm like, man, I need to get some water, John. You know what? And you're like, hey, bro, what you doing? Like, the water's over there. I need to get some water, I said. I am thirsty. I am not happy. Like, that's dirty, bro.
I'm tired of talking about Dillon. I want to hear from you. What's the dirtiest thing you witnessed out on the NFL field, whether it was in the bottom of a pile or something? What's the dirtiest, filthiest? I can't believe he did that.
Okay, the one that sticks out, I wasn't on the actual field, but this one takes the cake. I think everyone was at home watching. It felt like a Monday night game. And it must have been Denver versus San Fran. And Bill Romanowski spit
Dirty.
on J.J. Stokes. And they had those good cameras out, those Monday Night Football cameras. And you saw that noogie hit the air, travel through dense fog, it looked like. It was just like, oh, JJ, duck, yeah. And that thing hit my boy JJ Stokes, and I just lost it. I've never felt more disgusted about the game of football than that moment right there.
Wow. And you want to know what Romanowski's response was when they're like, did you do that? He's like, yeah.
Bring it on.
Care. He's like, yeah. And they're like, do you realize how disgusting that is? Yeah. Next. Let's go. And he's like, you see me spit? He's like, just wait till you see me next game. That guy was a terror. And that's what I'm talking about. It's a tactic. It's unpredictable. No one saw that coming except Romanowski.
Except Romanowski. Oh, man. I would still be fighting. There will be unnecessary roughness penalties for 4 straight quarters. If you spit, you can actually curse me out, talk about my mama who's passed away. You can say anything about my wife, my kids. I don't give a damn. You don't know them like that. But if you spit on me, well, you're going to get to know me, brother. We're going to get into this until the hell freezes over, man. Oh. Coming up on Never Shut Up, I'm telling y'all, it's wild out here. It's time for Compton to Columbia. Yes, it's Charles Barkley getting great advice from Grant Hill's mom about who to take care of in your family and your friend circle. We'll get into that on Brinks TV full episode. And thank you guys for watching us on Reach TV. Never Shut Up. Welcome back to Never Shut Up on Brinks TV. John Brinkus, Marcellus, Wiley, and it's time to go from Compton to Columbia. Don't get scared, John. We're going to Compton first. All right, let's talk about this story where Charles Barkley says he got great advice from Grant Hill's mom about financial literacy. She says, quote, do not take care of your family and all your friends. Woo! Well, this is going to be juicy. John, I want to hear your experience because you're a multi-billionaire. Your road traveled in terms of taking care of your social circle and your family.
I will tell you what, and this is the honest to God truth, no good deed goes unpunished. That is a ridiculoly amazing phrase, so wise. Here's the sad truth. I am like, you look at mi casa, su casa. You need a place to stay? Stay with me, no problem. You need a shirt? Here's a shirt. You know what? I've only got one, but you can have mine. And throughout my career, people have come to me and said, you know, hey man, I need some money, you know, and not like $5. Like, hey, I need some money, I'm in some trouble, I need whatever. And, you know, it's not like I was born with the silver spoon in my mouth, right? Like my dad worked for the government, my mom was in education. It's not like we were loaded at all. But even with that being said, it's like if I had $10, I'd give somebody $10. Now, as you ascend the throne in your own world and you start accumulating some money and you have family and friends around you, those people who, for whatever reason, this is more, in terms of my experience, this is more on the friend side than the family side. But the friend side, they come and they say, hey, man, can I have some of that dough that you earned? And you're like, well, when I only had $10, I gave you $10. And, oh, now I have a lot more zeros after the 10. So, well, here's some of that. And you say, you know what? They go, I'll pay you back. No problem. I'll pay you back. No problem. Here's what ends up happening. Is if you give somebody something that is of significance, one of two things happen. They feel indebted, like, oh my God, I really need to pay this back. Or they say, I mean, he gave it to me once. I mean, I wanted him to give it to me twice. I mean, that was pretty easy. And then it comes back again and again and again. And then when it's like, dude, I've given you more money than you're worth, I can't keep doing this. Then it's like, what is wrong with you? You greedy SOB. You're like, dude, man, I was just trying to help you before, and now you're mad at me, brah. That's it.
Dog. Oh, you hit the nail on the head. Let's talk through this one. I have too many stories for this, but let me try and pick out some. Because the first advice that I received was from my agent at the time, Brad Blank. And he was really trying to break it down the right way. He was like, look, you just got paid, you got your bonus. Don't take care of your family, don't take care of your friends, keep it to yourself. And he even gave me another nugget. He's like, you know what's interesting? And he's like, don't take this the wrong way, but it's just the truth based on my data. He's like, you black players go immediately and buy mama a house, immediately and go buy daddy a car. And then my white players, you know what? When they get their money, guess what? It's theirs. And I was like, really? And I was like, because I was just bought into, like, I thought everyone did that. And that was the first time I felt the distinction, like you actually don't have to take care of everybody. It wasn't even racialized to me. It was just like, oh, there's an option, but I'm going to choose this. Then I go to the rookie symposium. Daryl Green sitting up there, the legend Daryl Green. And he says, hey, I don't want you guys giving anybody tickets except your mom and dad. 2 tickets a game and that's it. Now I'm like, okay, I don't know which way is up. And this advice sounded too damn harsh. Anyway, you fast forward, I get a chance to meet Calvin Hill from Yale University, Ivy Leaguer, who was working with the Dallas Cowboys, and obviously Grant Hill's father and his wife is Grant Hill's mama. And he's breaking it down to me too. And here's some stories that I hear they were breaking down. I did everything the wrong way. I did everything to help someone else in terms of what their circumstance was. So if they needed $500, I got you. Why? Because I didn't think $500 was a lot of money when I was making that. Oh, my mom needed this and that. Well, my mom was always there for me when I needed this and that. So here you go. And like you said, no good deed goes unpunished. How about this? When you run the math of it, and if you need $5,000, do you know how much you really need to make to give me back my $5,000? Because think about it, I never ran this math until the end of the process. If you need $5,000, you got to make at least 10 so you can give me 5, and then you still be at a position where you are with $5,000. You're not going to go broke over giving me $5K. So then I start saying, wait a minute, I'm asking people to make twice as much as they can make to just give me back my money so they can have half of it. If y'all didn't catch that, we're going to rewind it. Point being, they ain't going to do it. So then they get to like John's point. They get to this place. They either say, man, you stingy. Man, you tripping. Man, you change. And I'm like, nah, man, you broke. You ain't going to get it this way. I'm trying to help you, big dog. And I used to hate it. I used to hate it so much, John. They put that guilt on you. You already feel survivor's remorse because you survived the circumstance that maybe they're still stuck in, and it just goes all bad.
It does. And I got a great little quick story for you. Well, I can't tell you the number of people who I've helped out and continue to help out. And honestly, I don't let the sort of scars of the past affect my present decision. My expectations have changed. So, all right, if you need help, here, I'm going to help you out. And you want to know what? Don't pay me back because I know what happens. Just don't ask me again because I know what happens. So here's it's a one-time just, I'm helping you out. But here's what happened, Marcellus. True story, up one side, down the other. Had a very, very good friend of mine come to me and say, dude, I had 2 kids, I just had a 3rd kid, and oh my God, a totally surprise. We outgrew our house. I need to now buy a new house. Brother, can you help me buy a house? And I did. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to help you buy that house. And I gave multiple 6 figures to help with the down payment. And I'm like, here you go. Now, what do you think happens? It wasn't the next year. It was the following year. This is the quote. John, I've run into some financial trouble, and you helped me out last time. And I really prayed on this, and Jesus told me that you need to give me more money. That is a quote. Wow. Jesus told me. I'm like, Jesus, the man who said, give up all your earthly possessions? The man who's like, look, are you sure you were talking to the same Jesus and not like Jesus down the street? Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I already bought you a house. That wasn't good enough? That's true.
That was Jesus. That was Jesus. You ran into it at the restaurant. That wasn't Jesus on the cross. No, B. You lying on the Lord, my Savior. Oh, John. First of all, I didn't think somebody could out-trick me, but you just took the cake. Where's the scoreboard? Brinkus won. Wiley won. Like, we're tied now, brother, because I thought I was bad when I was giving my mother hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not up to $1 million. But it's my mama, okay? My dad, he came in second place. It's my daddy. Now, a couple of them girls got me 4 engagement rings, okay? A couple cars here and there. I set you up, all that. But the one that always sticks out is this girl that I was dating, and she was off the beaten path. So I was typical. I was dating the normal type, model. We didn't have IG back then, but basically the girl who just knew all the players, and that's my friend or that's my brother. And I was like, yeah, okay. I used to date that girl, right? And I ain't mind because I wasn't really that serious and trying to go that far anyway. Here we go. I meet this girl. She's super quiet, John. Super sweet, in school. I'm like, oh, she's trying to get her master's. I'm like, oh, she's so gorgeous and so sweet. Oh, and then somewhere in that sweetness, she suddenly asked me, I'm really struggling with my tuition, so I'm thinking about dropping out of school. Womp. I could see the violin starting to play, and I'm like, oh, let me help you with this. I said, how much is tuition? Oh, I couldn't ask you. I said, but you just told me that you got problems, so yes, you can. Let's hear it. And I'm just buttering her up. I'm loving her. I'm like, this is going to be my girlfriend. She said, $50,000. And I swear, my brain, the left and right brain, started to fight. Hey, you better not give that girl that money. And the other one was like, no, be good. You were in a bad situation before. You needed help. And they start squabbling. And guess what I did? I walked into the room, grabbed my checkbook, and boy, did I feel like King Joffrey Joffer. I was so pumped. I grabbed that check, 50, 000, decimal point, 00, signature, click, here you go. Tuition paid. That was the dumbest thing I ever did in my life. I swear. She went to school, but we never hung out again, it felt like. Like, I never saw the girl again. That's how bad I was. But at least she didn't blame it on Jesus. She just blamed it on the missions, and she blamed it on the cost of college.
Unbelievable, man. You great. Let me just tell you something. You just went right on past 4 engagement rings. I need to see receipts on those.
Well, you got one receipt because I actually married the 4th one, which is my wife now. 8 years, going on my 9th anniversary in June. But the other 3, You know, I mean, you could buy into the story that you want to settle down. You know how that goes. Like, hey, man, these streets are crazy. Yo, these girls crazy. Yo, you got a lot of money. You got to protect yourself. Find you one good woman and invest in that in a relationship and family. So I tried it 3 different times and I realized, oh, they're not the problem. I'm not done being me. I must sow my royal oats. And I had to keep living, right? So I can't blame any of them in that situation. But just this whole topic right here, there's so much to learn because we all just feel that pull of look out for them, right? We're taught to share when we're little kids. I see it all the time, my kids. One gets a bag of Cheetos. Oh, give your sister some. Give your other sister some. Next thing you know, my boy's like, Daddy, I ain't got no Cheetos left. I just gave it all out. And I'm like, am I teaching him to be a trick? Am I teaching him to be the wrong guy growing up? But it's in all seriousness, you got to learn to teach people to get their own bag of Cheetos, basically, is what we're saying. Instead of like keep taking from you, and then when the golden goose can't lay the golden eggs, they certainly can't fend for themselves. I think that's the most damaging part about it, is that a lot of times you help people out, and they're in the same predicament and circumstance even after you help them out. Time in and time out. Did you feel that way too, John?
Dude, man, the teach a man to fish, not said by Jesus, but said by Jesus. Jesus didn't have any money, and he was even saying, yeah, I could give you a fish, but I'd rather teach you to fish because I don't have any fish to give you. So, go learn how to fish. And that's, look, we all want to be super generous. We all want to help our neighbors and our brothers and everyone else. And in my case, my business partner was my brother-in-law. And I only have one sister and my mom and my dad. And everybody got along and great. And I never had to deal with any kind of money issues in my family, thank God. But my close friends and friends who were around me, and I did have to deal with it. And it is right of saying, listen, you got to teach somebody. You have to say, listen, yes, I've been very fortunate, and just like this is one part about wealth that I find annoying and misunderstood. Some people are born with a silver spoon in their mouth. They just are. I don't have anything against them. I don't hold it against them. I just say, well, listen, you were born into wealth. Therefore, I don't know if you are the best person to teach me how to be wealthy, because you were given everything, and that's fine. And you don't look down on somebody who was given millions of dollars when they were born. That's they were a product of their environment, their situation. But there are some people like yourself and me who were not born with the silver spoon in their mouth. And I literally didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. I went to New York, and my dad said to me, son, dress poor. Do you want to know why? Because you are. You have nothing for someone to steal. Don't pretend. I'm like, you're right, Dad. I don't have any money. So I don't have any money. I had to earn every nickel that I got. And there's a lot of wisdom that you can impart on someone by saying nothing replaces hard work and vision. For you, look, you made it in the NFL. You made a lot of money, but you want to know what? No one just handed it to you. You had to work your ass off. You had to have vision. You had to have discipline. You had to make decisions. And you're trying to pass it on not only to your children, but your family and your friends as well. And that's really the lesson is, look, do as I do. Like I'm trying to live a life that is positive, and it's a life that you can take something from. I don't want to just give it to you.
Yeah, man, I've learned that lesson now. I have that perspective now, sitting here at 48 years old. Oh, good luck trying to get something out of me. It's not because my heart's not big. It's just because it really has to help you. I'm not just trying to put a Band-Aid on whatever we're talking about right now. I'm talking about truly help you in psychology so that you can help yourself. Because no one wants to walk around and be under someone else's thumb, right? So I know you don't even want to ask me, being frank, because that's a weird feeling. But it's so many things that come from this. One, the power dynamic of family. Like when I was 21, all of a sudden, I got one check that was greater in sum than my mother's and father's career earnings combined. Imagine that. They've worked their whole lives. Add up that mama, add up that daddy. Okay, and I got change, and so the power dynamic shift. You're looking at mom, can she reprimand you the same? My mother felt that way. She felt comfortable. My dad, it started to shift. Like, how do you come at the son that you saying, boy, sit down, but at the same time, but before you sit down, can I get $5,000, right? So it just became kind of weird, right? That's one. Here's the misconception I want to get out there before we move on. That athletes go broke because, the jewelry, the cars, chasing the girls, etc. Look, none of that helps. But you know why they go broke, quote unquote? It's because they try to buy the entire village that they got to bring with them. They try to get mama right, daddy right, auntie right, uncle right, cousins right, brothers right, sisters right. And that number is what all of a sudden comes back to haunt them. Because usually it's a mortgage. Usually it's something that you got to continue to invest in. And their circumstances are all dependent on you giving them that money. Meanwhile, between the ears, they're the same person. So guess what? They're going to always need you to bail them out. That's typically the story, more so than, oh, you're chasing all these little trinkets and things. No, it's actually coming from a place where their heart is so big that they actually can't say no to the village. So when you see all of that happen, it's just interesting being around money and knowing the value of it and not valuing it, giving it away in good faith, in good deed, but still not always for a good reason. All right, it's time to switch gears and get to the Wileyism right now. And this Wileyism comes straight from the Lord and Savior's Jesus' mouth. Let me stop. Okay, this Wileyism today, don't compare, prepare. Say it again. Don't compare, prepare. Where's it hit you, John?
Look, life is relative to yourself. That's it. And what it means to me is I had a very good friend of mine. I've gone through, all my ups and downs in my life. And I had a very good friend of mine say to me, what is the purpose of summer? What's the purpose? Why do we even have it? And the answer, it's to prepare for winter. So if you're in summer and you're saying, man, my sky is blue and the air is warm and the water is great, what you're doing is you're saying to yourself, I'm comparing this moment in time with every other moment, with every other person, and in my own recollection, I am comparing it. What you're not doing is saying, man, my sky is blue, the air is warm, the water is beautiful, but it ain't always going to be like that. So I need to prepare for when it's going to change. I can appreciate the moment now, but I need to make sure that I understand it will not always be like this. That's what I get out of this Wileyism.
Yeah, I love that. I'm glad you took it there too, to things. I'm going to take it to people because this to me means a negotiation with your potential. Like, what can you become? You can become it if you don't look around, look side to side. Oh, that person's in front of me. Oh, man, I feel like I got to catch up. Or that person's behind me. Oh, I can relax right now because I got a lead. Like, it just makes you stay mindful of your existence, your purpose. I'm a late bloomer. Like, I had early success, but no one was walking around every day saying, you're going to make this NFL, you're going to make this in media. Like, that stuff came because, frankly, I didn't let the guys that were better than me in sports or the ones that were smarter than me in class or the ones that were cooler than me in the hallways ever distract me from that negotiation of trying to get the most out of myself. And I tell this to my kids and I tell this to all kids. Like, you can't look around and figure out where you're going to end up. You have to take the steps on that journey, right? You got to have faith. You got to have belief. And you also got to make sure, like in track and field, your gaze is not supposed to be straight ahead. You're talking to a guy who won the nationals in track. I learned this. You actually are supposed to look with a gaze that you can see your front leg land and where your next step is going. So it's more of this than this. And if that slight difference is how you get the most out of yourself. Because when you look up, you notice you all of a sudden, you look around. And then sometimes you can even see in races, they look back. Are you running your fastest when you do any of those things? No. So it's so important for you, no matter where you are, you're down by 30 in life, you're up by 50 in life, to not look around. Don't compare, prepare. That's it for Never Shut Up. Another great episode. I love you guys out there. John Brinkus is my dog. We're going to be back very soon. We know it's Super Bowl week and it's going to go down, but we'll be in the building. That's all for us on Never Shut Up. See you guys soon. Brinks TV. Love you guys. Peace. We might be hydrated too. Might have a problem on that one. Them Super Bowl parties. Oh my God.